I'm Brittany Nielsen. We begin tonight with the continuing search for Sierra LaMar. Tomorrow marks 2 years since the Morgan Hill teen vanished, believed to have been abducted by Antolin Garcia Torres, who has been charged with the crime as she left her home on her way to school. Action News reporter Margot Dunphy is live in our Salinas newsroom with more. Margot?
Brittany, it's hard to believe it's been 2 years since Sierra went missing, but throughout that time, her family and a group of very dedicated volunteers have not given up hope of finding her. Today, they were back again in Morgan Hill to continue the search.
I'm still clinging to wanting to find Sierra alive somehow, somewhere.
2 years on, and the family of Sierra LaMar are still searching, still waiting, still trying to find any clue that could lead to their missing daughter.
Well, I like to think that since this has happened, that as a family, that we are also an advocate for missing children, and to increase the awareness to the general public that we need to protect our children.
On the eve of the heartbreaking anniversary of her disappearance, they showed up again to help out at the search center in Morgan Hill.
They're creating Sierra's legacy just by keeping this community together and continuing to do what they do.
But they're not alone. Week after week since 2012, they've had the support of a core group of volunteers who search tirelessly every Saturday for any sign of the missing teen.
They're the most generous people in the world, dedicating their time on Saturday to do this. So that's a bright spot, and we're always grateful.
One of those who's been there from the beginning is Douglas Tollis.
Pretty much all took an oath and said we're here until we bring Sierra home.
Every weekend, volunteers are now revisiting areas that have already been searched, but this time they're focusing on abandoned buildings, looking under logs and making sure they leave no stone unturned.
We're going back and trying to clear all the holes that we missed in some of the searches.
Tollis says he and this close-knit dedicated group put their heart into every search, and they will never give up until they can bring closure to the case for the family and for Sierra.
I would just love to bring her home and see the LaMar family get to rest, bring them to peace. Because I know every day I come out here, I got the vision of my daughter in my head.
Now, Douglas and those volunteers tell us they will be there every Saturday until they do find something. But they do tell us they are in need of help. So if you can help, you can just show up to Central High School in Morgan Hill any Saturday. Now, tomorrow there will be a bench dedication to commemorate the anniversary of Sierra's disappearance. It will happen at Washington High School in Fremont. It takes place at 11 o'clock. Brittany?
All right, Margot, thank you so much. Now, this past February, Antolin Garcia Torres pleaded not guilty to the kidnapping and murder of Sierra. His trial date.
Just 15 years old, vibrant, full of life, and adjusting to a new school in the quiet town of Morgan Hill, California. On a crisp March morning in 2012, Sierra LaMar left home to catch her school bus and vanished. No one saw her again. Her phone was found tossed by the side of the road. Her purse, discarded a few blocks away, clothes neatly folded inside. No sign of struggle, no clear trail, just a growing sense of dread. What followed was one of the most heartbreaking searches in recent California history. A massive manhunt, a desperate community, and a family clinging to hope, even as each day passed with no answers. Eventually, there was an arrest, a trial, a conviction, but never a body. This is the haunting story of Sierra LaMar, a case of innocence stolen, justice partially served, and a question that still lingers. Where is Sierra? The day she vanished. It was March the 16th, 2012, a normal Friday morning. Sierra got ready for school like usual, grabbed her things, and headed out around 7 a.m. to catch her school bus. The bus stop was just a short walk from her house. But Sierra never got on the bus. She never made it to school. The school's automated system marked her as absent, but no one contacted her family right away. In fact, it wasn't until 6 p.m. that her mom received an automated email alerting her that Sierra hadn't been in class all day. That's when the panic set in. Calls went straight to voicemail. Her phone was silent. Her social media, completely inactive. Sierra wasn't the type to run away or skip school. Something was wrong, and everyone felt it. At first, law enforcement treated it as a typical missing persons case. There was no obvious sign of foul play, and officials tried to stay measured, but that would all change quickly. Disturbing clues emerge. The very next day, on March the 17th, the first big clue surfaced. searchers found Sierra's cell phone near an intersection about 2 miles from her home. It looked like it had been tossed from a moving car, still in one piece. Then, another chilling discovery. Not far from where the phone was found, someone spotted a pink Juicy Couture purse. Inside were neatly folded clothes, a pair of jeans and a shirt Sierra had been wearing. It didn't look random. It looked staged. Someone had deliberately discarded these things, almost like they were trying to wipe her away. That's when it hit investigators. This wasn't a runaway case. This was something much more sinister. News of Sierra's disappearance spread fast, and the community wasted no time rallying. The Class Kids Foundation, known for helping in missing child cases, got involved. And soon, hundreds of volunteers were out scouring the surrounding hills, ravines, woods, and back roads, some of the roughest terrain in the area. During one of those searches, people came across a small box labeled stainless steel handcuffs, along with used condoms. At first, police brushed it off. Maybe just kids messing around. But they sent the items to the lab anyway, just in case. By now, people were scared. Parents stopped letting their kids walk alone. Something dark had happened in their peaceful town, and they still had no answers. As days turned to weeks, the tone of the investigation shifted. Sierra wasn't just missing. She'd likely been abducted. Her father, who was a registered sex offender, was initially questioned but later ruled out after a full investigation. Police expanded their efforts. They interviewed local offenders, pulled surveillance footage, analyzed phone data, and eventually they got their big break. Forensic experts had been analyzing Sierra's jeans, the ones found in her discarded purse, and on them they found male DNA. It was a match to 21-year-old Antolin Garcia Torres. Garcia Torres already had a record, felony battery and assault. He lived just 7 miles from Sierra in an RV park with his pregnant girlfriend and his mother. He worked at a Safeway nearby, the same grocery chain where 3 women had reported attempted kidnappings just a few years earlier. Now, he was on their radar and fast becoming suspect number 1. As investigators dug deeper, the pieces started to fall into place. Back in 2009, 3 women were attacked in the parking lots of Morgan Hill Safeway stores. One was stunned with a taser as she tried to get into her car. Another had a knife pressed to her throat. Luckily, all of them escaped, either by fighting back or because someone nearby scared the attacker off. None of the victims had been able to identify the suspect in a police lineup at the time. But in one of the incidents, the attacker dropped a stun gun, and Garcia Torres' fingerprint was found on the battery. Then came the final confirmation. When police searched his red Volkswagen Jetta, already impounded, they found Sierra's DNA on the inside door handle, and a single strand of her hair twisted into a piece of rope in the trunk. They had him. Even without a body, it was enough. After 2 months of surveillance, law enforcement made their move. On May 21, 2012, Garcia Torres was arrested and charged with kidnapping and murdering Sierra LaMar. They had no murder weapon, no crime scene, no body. But they had DNA. They had surveillance footage placing his car in the area where Sierra vanished. And they had motive, a history of violent behavior toward women. Prosecutors announced they would seek the death penalty. For Sierra's family, the arrest brought a wave of mixed emotions. Relief that someone was being held accountable, but still no real closure. Their daughter was still missing. For the next 3 years, Sierra's family, especially her parents, refused to give up. Every Saturday, rain or shine, they organized search parties. They combed every possible stretch of land around Morgan Hill. Their search center became the longest-running open missing person operation in the country. But on March 14, 2015, after thousands of volunteer hours and countless dead ends, Sierra's family made the heartbreaking decision to stop the searches. They had given everything they had. It was time to place their faith in the justice system. The trial began on January 30th, 2017. Garcia Torres faced charges for Sierra's murder and for the 3 attempted kidnappings from 2009. After 4 months of testimony, emotional moments, and mountains of forensic evidence, the jury reached a verdict, guilty on all counts. But despite everything, Garcia Torres never showed remorse. He never apologized. He never told them where Sierra was. At sentencing, Sierra's mother pleaded with him directly. You could end this and repent, and tell us where she is. What if she was your child? He stayed silent. The jury opted not to give him the death penalty. Instead, Garcia Torres was sentenced to life in prison, without the possibility of parole. To this day, he's never revealed what he did with Sierra's body. In 2020, a reporter wrote Garcia Torres a handwritten letter, hoping that maybe, after all these years, he'd talk. He didn't respond. Sierra's parents never held a funeral. It didn't make sense without her body, her father said. And so, the wound remains open. A family left in limbo, a community still shaken, and a question that echoes through the quiet roads of Morgan Hill. Where is Sierra?
And we do begin tonight with a heartbreaking milestone in the search for a missing Morgan Hill teenager. Today marks 1 year since Sierra LaMar was last seen leaving her home early in the morning on her way to school. With more on how her family and the community is commemorating the occasion, here's Action News reporter Tom Miller in Morgan Hill.
It's a somber tribute on a day Sierra LaMar's family hoped would never come.
1, 2, 3. Find Sierra!
A year after she went missing, more than 100 balloons in Sierra's favorite colors were let go with words of love and endurance streaming behind.
We love and miss you, baby girl. We hope you come home soon. XOXO Liz.
Sierra, I will always come back to find you. Never give up. We love you, Jennifer.
It's like a message in a bottle, and it's all that we believe that she's going to come back, and that I know thousands of people are praying for her.
The day is particularly difficult for Sierra's mother, Marlene, who's relying on her faith to keep her going.
Well, I'm optimistic because I have a strong faith in God, and every day I wake up, I know He's with me.
Though Sierra's parents hold out hope their daughter will be found alive, her accused killer isn't being ignored either. Mark Klass of the Klass Kids Foundation is calling on prosecutors to seek the death penalty, hoping it'll force Antolin Garcia Torres to reveal the teen's location.
If he doesn't want to live the rest of his life in a little 3x5 jail, looking at his own mortality with the date of execution coming up, then he better sit down to the table and start dealing.
Also on this 1 year mark, a renewed effort by searchers to look high and low for the missing girl.
Why don't you have Carl on this side of the fence?
This group is looking near Mount Madonna. Its leader points out there's more help than usual.
Normally there's about 40 or 50 of us that are here every Saturday, and it seemed that there was a good at least 20, 30 more people that actually came out.
The search also continues for the LaMars.
Me as a parent, I'm sticking with it, finding her alive.
A sentiment that even a year later isn't changing.
And Brittany, a community awareness and fundraising event just wrapped up in Fremont. The money raised there will go to pay for food and supplies for the ongoing search parties here at the Sierra LaMar Search Center. Brittany.
Tom, thank you so much. Now, a $35,000 reward remains in place for anyone with information that leads investigators to Sierra LaMar.